Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. So I don't normally film from this side, but there's a new table saw in the shop finally. So happy to have it here. It is the PM2000B. I had the extended fence on it. It's the 3 horsepower single phase. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of move the camera around this side and give you a view more of this side of the saw. And go over some of the things I like about it, some of the things actually I don't like about it. And there were a couple little issues that popped up, but we'll go ahead and talk about those. So yeah, let me move the camera. Okay guys, so here you go. Here's the new PM2000B. And I'm going to start off with some things I really do like about it before we get to the other stuff. So as you notice, it's got the digital readout on it, and I've set the stops. I actually used my Wixley gauge to dial those stops in really well, and they function super well. Fit and finish is extremely good. I'm really happy with that. The fence is just a little bit stiff. It's not super bad. I think it'll get a little better with time, and there's some adjustments here that I can play with and get that a little bit better. The scale and all that is just dead on. I couldn't ask for any better. The instructions in this saw are great. They're just spot on, easy to follow, and I couldn't be happier with that. The overall setup coming out of the factory, as far as blade alignment to the miter slot and fence and all that, man, I was lucky, and this one was pretty spot on as far as all that stuff goes. Okay, so one of the first things I didn't like about this particular saw and this setup was this extra wing. It's not flat. It's made with pine and a laminate on the top. And it's not flat. Now for me, I'm only going to use it for storing parts on. It's not the end of the earth. But if I wanted to actually slide my fence out here all the way and use this more frequently, I would have to replace this top. It's just that far out. So be wise of this. The other item that I was very disappointed in is the fence plates on this saw. Every corner is cracked and broke. So I've reached out to Powermatic, and they're sending me replacements. However, they're on back order. They don't have them in stock, and I'm 2 to 3 weeks out. So that was a little bit disappointing. But they're still flat. And I can replace them with a wood fence temporarily if I need to. But I was a little disappointed that those were all broken. Okay, so in this shot I set up a light behind it so you could see just how far off that table is. That's probably a little over 1/16 of an inch out. And that's on each end of that table. That, like I said, there's a bubble in the middle. It warps in the middle. And in this shot you can see how the side of the fence is cracked and broke, and that's the same way in all 4 corners of this particular fence. Okay, so it certainly came up several times when I was fixing to make this purchase on a new table saw, and I got asked quite a bit, why didn't you just buy a SawStop? And the SawStops are nice. I've had the opportunity to use them, and they're wonderful saws, and the technology is very cool. But that technology also has some flaws. If you look in the woodworking community and on the forums and whatnot right now, they're littered with SawStop trips, grabbing their blade, ruining a cartridge, ruining a blade. A lot of times over user error, but not always. So pressure treated wood, for instance, has too much moisture in it, or if your glue up that you just did isn't fully cured out, there's enough moisture in it and it trips. So if you got a $130 Forest blade in your saw and plus the price of the cartridge, every time that happens, now you're out $230. And Powermatic typically makes really nice equipment. It just doesn't have the technology in it. So that's why I made the decision I made. There's really, nothing against SawStop. They make, like I said, they make really nice saws, and I'm happy for the people that have them. They have a nice saw. It just wasn't right for my shop and my workflow. Speaking of which, let me show you a few other little changes that have taken place in the shop. Some nice little upgrades and whatnot. And yeah, let's go show you that stuff. Okay, so lighting is such a hard thing to film in a shop, especially a shop like this. Initially, I had eight 8-foot LED lights put in, and it didn't take me very long, especially with filming my work, to realize, man, I didn't have enough light. So I had the electricians back in, and I had this one mounted here above this table. I had an extra one mounted above the new assembly table, which is really helpful. And then I had 2 more added, one above the lathe and one above my hand tool bench. And it made a world of difference, but I still got to use auxiliary lighting in here when I'm shooting these projects. Okay, so as you can see down here, I added the hose reel and the compressor underneath my assembly table. Frankly, I don't use either one of these very often, but they certainly come in handy when I do want them. And I just mounted a power strip back here, and in those times when I need to use this stuff, I'll just plug that into a wall outlet and do what I need to do. Okay guys, I think that's going to kind of wrap it up for this one. I'm still working on organizing drawers down here and figuring out what lives in there. A quick overview on the saw. I hope you got something out of that. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below or send me an email. My email's in the show notes. But yeah, time to get going on some real projects. Until then, take care guys.